and some faculties that invited me before. So, okay, what I have for this morning is a sharing session. In my capacity as somebody who have experience in scholarly publishing extensively, and also reviewing, I would say, WAS Index journals, and also as the chief editor of a WAS Index journals. Yeah. All right, and also I believe I have something to share due to my experience in research that investigating how early career researchers behavior and practices in scholarly communication, yeah, in searching for scholarly materials, in disseminating, in publishing, and also in consuming these materials. Yeah. Okay. So without further ado, let me start off with my presentation, with this talk. All right. As you all know, yeah. Scholarly publishing is very important, especially if you are an academic, and you are expected to publish. And also at the University of Malaya, you are expected to publish in very specific journals, yeah, journals that fulfill the requirement of the university or your discipline. All right. So for us academics nowadays, publishing is not just a matter of sending your article to any journals. Okay, you have to be very selective in publishing, because as authors, as researchers, you carry a huge responsibility, all right, for the integrity of your publications, and you want your publications in the end to be permanent, okay, in the core literature of your discipline, and you want your literature, your publications to be accessible and also to be read by people. So you want in the end your papers to be there, okay, active, all right, actively being used, being consumed by the research community. So this is the topic, fostering responsible and reproducible research through publication ethics. And before this, my focus is only on the publication ethics and integrity, but somehow I try to incorporate how do you actually foster responsible and reproducible research through publication ethics. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So basically, this is an excerpt from the summary that was disseminated by EDAC, and I'm going to focus on the why, the where, and how in relation to ethics for publishing. All right. Okay. Let us focus on what is actually publishable, okay, in our research discipline. All right. Journals and journal editors, they want to publish papers that are going to be widely read and useful to the readers. And especially for journal editors, they will select articles that they feel will be cited, meaning that articles that are citable. Okay, so articles that are citable, all right, are articles that report original and significant findings that are likely to be of interest to many. Okay, articles that are well organized, articles that have a reasonable command of English language proficiency, articles that are well written, articles that have clear statements regarding how the findings relate and advance the understanding of the particular discipline, and hopefully, okay, articles that can drive societal changes. All right. So papers that are concise, papers that are complete in the presentation of the article itself. Yeah. Okay. So this is what journal editors find the characteristic of citable articles, right? There are also other characteristic of usable or citable articles, but these are within the perception and also of the research community, and also in relation to what the journal editors are looking for at a particular time. Yeah. So in the context of us being researchers, publishing is now the norm. Yeah. Not publishing is the exception. So we at University Malaya, we should uphold this. Yeah. All right. So your research is not complete until it is being published. All right. Anyhow, the challenge now is not only to publish, but also to publish ethically. Yeah. So publishing your research is morally right, meaning that if you don't publish, if you do not publish, your research is you only publish your research is not complete until it is being published, and if you are not publishing, you are not doing something that is morally right. So this is what the research community nowadays advocate. All right, and doing something that is morally right in relation to publishing your research is having a detailed and a permanent record of your research. You have to show that, okay, through your publication, yeah, that your work, your research work is conducted and reported honestly, objectively, and also fairly. But this is not easy. Yeah, sometimes, okay, the ideals, all right, deviate. Yeah. And ethical breaches can be intentional as well, right? Sometimes people do it out of ignorance, right? Okay, so as a researcher, we not only need to publish, but we need to publish ethically. We need to develop a strong sense of ethical responsibility at every stage of your scientific research process and report it, all right, through your publications, yeah? All right. Okay. So academic integrity, ethics and integrity is one of University Malaya's values. Yeah, academic integrity. All right. So in terms of publication integrity, we researchers, we have the responsibility to ensure that our publications meet, okay, the definition of what an ethical publication is. That your publications are honest, you're clear, accurate, okay, no misconduct, complete, balanced, should avoid misleading, selective, or ambiguous reporting. And of late, okay, publication integrity also encompass reporting reporting your findings, okay, or publish, all right, in due time, meaning that you do not delay in publishing your research. Yeah, you do not delay, meaning that if editors might query or your article might be rejected upfront, okay, if you have data that were collected in, for example, 2016, okay, and the article is being submitted for review only into 2020. Okay, we have seen these issues, all right, of late. Yeah, so journal editors and also journal publishers also have the responsibility to ensure the integrity of the research literature, and these are especially for journals. They are set out in the COPE Committee of Publication Ethics guideline. All right. So why do we need to publish ethically? Okay, because we owe the truth about our publications to many stakeholders, and I have listed here six stakeholders, six people, six categories of people. All right, that we owe the truth about our publication. The first is, of course, the public. Yeah, our colleagues. Okay, our peers and our collaborators in that particular research or publication. And institutions or agencies that fund our research, and of course our employers, the university, okay, the research subjects. If your research involve human subjects, okay, we owe the truth to our participants, all right, and also to the readers as well as the library, because the library has invested a lot, okay, in getting your publications to subscribe to the journals that publish your publications. Yeah, okay, that's a lot of money involved there. All right, because we don't buy the publications okay, at a piecemeal basis. We subscribe the database that index the journals that publish your articles. All right. So why do we owe the truth to these people? Okay, especially for the public, because of the funding support. Okay, in terms of Malaysian researchers, okay, the bulk of our research funding comes from the taxpayers' money. All right, so we owe the truth to them. Okay, and also to the research participants. Okay, out of respect for their autonomy, they gave you data. They respond to your survey. Okay, for example, they participated in your experiments and also in your various other types of data collection techniques, for example, interview of FGD. So you want to report whatever they say or whatever they convey to you, all right, fairly. Yeah. Also, you owe the truth to your colleagues and collaborators, all right, because for your colleagues especially, they are going to use your research findings later on, and also for your collaborators. Yeah. Okay, you must be very honest, all right, when working with collaborators, especially you do not want to have issues later on in relation to the paper that you publish. And also the funding institutions for giving you the resources, not only in terms of research funding, but also perhaps in terms of equipment and other materials for your research. And also for your employers, for the university, because whatever things that will affect your research or your publications later on will somehow deter the reputations. And also for the readers and libraries, because these are the two stakeholders that pursue, okay, the truth and knowledge resulted from your publications. Yeah, all right. Okay, so in this talk, I put forward this R3, the acronym for Responsible and Reproducible Research, especially in this area of open scholarship. All right, this is very important because responsible and reproducible research, the aim is to raise the research quality and increase the overall reproducibility of your scientific results. Not only from the research itself, okay, from the research process, but also from the publications that come out from the research itself. All right. Okay, so responsible research, there are various definitions, but this is the one that I culled is actually from Wikipedia, okay, and also from various initiatives in Europe, UK, and also in USA. Okay, talking about responsible research as the ability to produce ethically acceptable, sustainable, and socially desirable research outcome for the public. Yeah, but in the context of this talk, I connected this with publications. So my definition, okay, this definition of responsible research is the ability to produce ethically acceptable, sustainable, and socially desirable, yeah, research outcome, meaning that the research itself, the publication itself is usable, all right, okay, can be accessed by the public. Yeah, okay, so I connected this definition with this phrase through their publications. All right, the same applies to reproducible research. Okay, so the ability to duplicate the results of a prior study using the same methods as were used by the original researchers. So I connected this particular definition with the phrase through their publications. So what we are going to put forward, okay, in this webinar is to exercise how to actually foster or exercise responsible and reproducible research through your publications ethically. Okay, all right. Okay, first of all, okay, let's talk about R3 and where should you publish your work? Where should you publish your work ethically? Okay, so I pose a question here. How do you decide, or how do I decide where to publish your precious research? Okay, so you can reflect. For those of you who have prior publication experience, how do you actually decide where to publish your research, right? Where to publish your precious research? Okay, so I put forward here four ways, okay, that I have practiced and many researchers, okay, in various disciplines have practiced. And these are the ideal thing, and also through research, for those of you who are interested, you can Google Harbinger research that I have been doing with my collaborators in UK, in 7 countries, all right, including Malaysia. You can, if you're interested, you can look at the findings on Harbinger's research. We focus on investigating how early career researchers practice, okay, scholarly communications. How do they go about choosing the journals? How do they go about identifying the authorship, the practices in authorship. How do they identify whether the journal is good or bad? Okay, so you can actually you can refer to the work that we have done for the past since 2016 lah. Okay, for the past 4 years. Harbinger, Harbinger, Harbinger Research Cyber. Okay, so you can Google Harbinger and my name Abriza Abdullah. All right, so the first step is you should choose the right journal. All right, okay, obviously, okay, how do you decide to publish your work? You must choose the right journal. All right, so the ideal criteria, all right, on investigating what journals that you should publish in is you should know the aim and scope. Yeah, you should look at the type of article. So if you are publishing a structured literature review, okay, you should check with the journal whether that journal publish SLR or not, or perhaps that journal only invite review papers. Reviews are done by invitation. Okay, so whether the journals also publish case studies, all right, not just research papers, or perhaps case studies are also incorporated or being defined as research papers. You see, so you should investigate, all right, whether the types of the journals, the types of articles, and also the topics that the journals actually cover. Okay, and also the readership of the journal. But if you are looking for journals that are confined to only your research discipline, definitely readership is not an issue. Yeah, all right. Some journals are multidisciplinary, such as PLOS One. All right, most open access maker journals are multidisciplinary. Okay, you should also find out current hot topics. You should go to the recent abstract for the past 5 years. This is very important because you do not want to waste time, especially for novice researchers. Yeah, sometimes I have actually experienced this. Okay, through my journals, through the journals that I am the editor, because some researchers, some authors, they submit papers on topics that are a bit obsolete and no longer being published by that particular journal for the 5 past years. So editors, they are very selective, okay, in publishing topics that are very, very recent in relation to the discipline. All right. And also, I advise you to discover the journal metrics, whether the journal have a particular metrics. Okay, if the journals are indexed by global citation database such as Scopus or Web of Science, you should, of course, ideally you should identify the quartile of the journal, okay, the impact factor and all that, but not only confined to the citation-based metrics, but also all metrics such as the number of downloads, okay, whether the journals is being mentioned in social media, whether the journals is being tweeted, all right, by the editor or authors in that authors publishing in that journal. These are the things that you should look for as well. Okay, all right, and also scrutinize the guide for authors. Especially, you should the editor and also some editorial board members. You should be familiar. You should know their names. They should be people in your research areas. You should have read papers that authored by the reviewers of the paper. Be familiar with their works. And also the very important criteria of the journals that you should go for is peer-reviewed journals. All right, this is the gold standard. You must, as a scholar, go for peer-reviewed journals because this is the first step that ensure the credibility and the trustworthiness of your research. Okay, from the perspective of the reviewers. Yeah. Okay. All right. So number two, okay, number one is choose the right journal. Number two is you choose index journals. Yeah. So this is not difficult now. All right, because the index journals, the index databases now, they are available to you. All right, library subscribe this, and some of these information service provider also make the indexes or indices available freely on the web. All right. For example, when we talk about index journals, ideally, okay, these are the journals that are indexed by the Web of Science or journals that are indexed by Scopus. These are the two global citation databases. Also, journals that are indexed by regional databases. For example, if in the context of our country, Malaysia, all right, journals that index, Malaysian journals that are indexed by my journal or my site. Okay, for example, if you are if you send to a journals published in China, for example, you might want to look at whether the journal is indexed by the CNKI. Yeah, the same applies to if you are submitted to journals in OIC published by OIC countries, you might want to consider looking at the index by the Iran Citation Index, or Islamic Country Citation Index, for example. All right, but of course, our university has made it very, very clear that okay, the requirement is to publish in either Web of Science and also Scopus. Okay, for us, many of us, and also for journals that are identified as authoritative by a respective discipline, especially this coming from arts and humanities, and also social sciences. Okay, so why is this so? Yeah, I can say for Web of Science. All right, Web of Science journals. Yeah, I'm not marketing for them. All right, I'm not marketing for Clarivate Analytics or maybe Elsevier. But as a researcher, as authors, yeah, you should know that the journals that are Web of Science, the journals that are indexed by the Web of Science database, is journals that are authoritative in their respective discipline, because it has a long history since as a Science Citation Index and Social Science Citation Index. It has a long history. All right. Okay. So these particular journals, they are authoritative. They are considered as the core literature in their discipline. All right. For example, in the context of my research, okay, in my area, for example, no doubt that cytometrics and informetrics is the core literature in the area of bibliometrics. No doubt about that. All right. Although one of these journals is not indexed by Scopus, you see. All right. So you should understand that Web of Science, the journals, they represent the core literature of the world in that particular discipline. Okay, journals that are in Scopus, all right, they are journals that covers besides English language literature. Yeah, Web of Science especially is more biased towards English language literature, but for Scopus it covers more comprehensive in terms of research areas. And also journals that are indexed in Scopus, they are journals that have a very authoritative, and I would say processes that adhere to good practices in managing journals, meaning that the journals are authoritative. Okay, journals that in Scopus, they are authoritative in terms of journal management. All right. The publishers, the editors that manage the journal, okay, manage the journals very, very well. Yeah, okay, all right. But journals that are covered in the Web of Science, they are journals that considered as the core literature in the particular discipline. And you can see this, okay, these particular journals, they are exclusive. They are also they are also citing journals in that particular database. Okay, most journals, if you study, okay, a particular journal in your area, you can see that most of these journals, okay, they also cite journals that are indexed in that particular database. Okay, so you see what I mean when I mention the core literature. All right, so these journals, okay, in index journals, they have their own metrics. Now, not only in terms of citation-based metrics, but also metrics based on the web. Okay, for example, metric based on social media and also usage. For example, downloads and reads. Yeah. So number 2 is choose the index journals. Okay, but not only index journals, but index journals by authoritative indexing and abstracting agency. So you have to be very careful. For example, all right, you want to you have identified a journal, okay, that are listed as authoritative by in your research area, but these journals are not indexed by WASH or not indexed by Scopus. Say the journal is indexed by, I do not want to mention a particular indexing agency. Yeah? So let's say the journal is indexed by A. Okay, by A, all right, an agency, but the agency is proven not to be an authoritative. Yeah, so I would advise that you look, okay, for indexing and abstracting agency that are only authoritative. All right, there have been some writings about agencies that are bogus. Okay, indexing and abstracting agencies that are bogus, that report universal impact factor. You see, you should be very, very careful if a journal reports, okay, a universal impact factor, for example, because the impact factor doesn't mean anything. All right. So if you are not very sure about journal metrics, you have to consult. All right. Yes, the easier way is to consult the library. Yeah, the library, and also senior researchers who have experience, okay, in publishing in that particular journal. Yeah. All right. Okay. So number 4 is that you choose the core journals in your discipline. Okay. All right. As early career researchers, early academics, okay, you should niche yourself, all right, in your particular research area first. All right, so if you have opportunity to collaborate and perhaps, okay, getting funding for multidisciplinary research, that is another story. That is bonus, I would say, okay. But start from journals in your own discipline, okay, because you want to be known, okay, among people in your own discipline. All right, so it is easier when you write in journals in your own discipline. For example, when you write about okay, something to do in relation to education, all right, okay, using technology in education, you can also submit this to a multidisciplinary journal or a journal on ICT, right? But because you are coming from education, for example, yeah, so I would suggest that you submit the journal in an education journal first, right? Okay, unless, okay, the article actually incorporate contribution from other areas. For example, the focus of that particular article is not on education but more relation to education and technology, so you might want to go for a multidisciplinary journal or journal on ICT, right? Okay, so not only choose core journals in your discipline, but the journals that you cite when you write the paper. Okay, all right, sometimes you might wonder why, when you read an article, the references in that article cite that particular journal that published the article, right? And there have been perceptions that the editors, okay, play or maybe encourage you to cite journals from that particular journal. We do not know, okay, whether that's true or not, but you cite the journal that the journals that you cite most to write the paper. Then you submit that to the journal. Okay, for example, you cite educational technology and society, for example, all right? You refer to this particular journal, for example, when writing your paper. So that particular journal is the right candidate for you to submit your paper, right? The journal you cite most to write the paper. Okay, all right. Don't submit your paper to a journal that you don't read. Yeah, some researchers, they do this, yeah, because because of their publishing practices. Maybe they are not adhering to any publishing practices. All right, you write the paper and then only you decide where to submit the paper, right? I would advise you not to do that. All right, you target a particular journal first. Yeah, okay. So don't submit the paper to a journal that you don't read or you would not read. All right. So only submit to a journal that you have read. Some of us, okay, we have reviewed papers and we know that the journals are good. So you submit to a papers that you have reviewed, or okay, or have published before. All right. So this is for early career researchers. Yeah. Or if you have established in your research area, then you might want to consider, okay, submitting to other journals, okay, outside the scope of your discipline with your collaborators. All right. Okay, when you submit to multidisciplinary journals also, please make sure the authorship of that particular paper balance, okay, with not only you, but also with people from that multidisciplinary aspect. Yeah. All right. And another tip is that if you are still not sure, okay, about a particular journal, whether you have doubts, you might want to find out, okay, if there are actually studies on that particular journal. We say that this is a bibliometric study. Whether the journal, whether there are bibliometric study about the journal that have been published before that. All right, but this is not this is only for those who have doubts, okay, about a particular journal. Okay, for example, I give you for example, yeah. Okay, I'm the editor of Malaysian Journal of Library and Information Science. Okay, I know for sure that the Americans, okay, my peers or colleagues, okay, authors or researchers in library information science, they do not submit to a Malaysian Journal of Library and Information Science. They do not, yeah, because although this journal is a web of science journals, but the scope of the journals, okay, is a bit restricted because it only concern publishing. Publishing articles from the Asia Pacific countries, okay, or the Asian region. All right, okay, so. And also, Malaysian Journal of Library Information Science, it is not considered as the core literature, okay, although it was indexed, all right, in America, by the American Library Association. So when I go to the ALA list, okay, this particular journal is not listed there. Yeah, all right. So what we did about 20 years ago, people in the editorial board, okay, we start writing about the journal. We publish bibliometric study about the journal. So we highlighted that, okay, from the finding, we highlighted that this journal is internationalized. Okay, we have people coming from various countries, various regions, and then multiple authorships, and then the scope of the journals, okay, it's not restricted to only Asia Pacific. All right. It is not only, and then we study the references, yeah, the citation to that particular journal. So it shows that the journal is international. Okay, it has an international characteristic. So we notice after the bibliometric study got citations, and now we have managed to get more and more people coming outside Asia to publish in that journal. People from America, Canada, as well as from the UK. Yeah. So number 3 is choose core journals in your discipline. All right. Number 4, I advocate you choose open access journals. Perhaps it is not perhaps you don't consider this when first submitting, deciding on the journals. Okay, on the journals. But you see, open access journals does not mean that it has APC. Okay, does not mean that the journal charge you. All right, there are various types of open access journals. Okay. All right, the goal open access is accessible by all. Immediately after the publication, you publish, paper you accepted and publish immediately the next day, it will be accessible, okay, globally. All right, so a goal open access journal requires APC, yeah, article processing charges. But there are also bronze journals, okay, that are available online freely for gratis, yeah, okay, and they do not charge you. All right. Okay, all right. There is also hybrid journals, but hybrid journals only allows archiving of preprints. But hybrid journals, if you want to make your article open access, the charge is high. It's a bit high compared to APC. Yeah. Okay. But because in general authors, they do have a research grant, you can always allocate a certain amount of money, okay, for hybrid, okay, for open access under hybrid. All right. Because most of the journals in the Web of Science, they are hybrid journals. They especially those published under scholarly publishers, like for example Elsevier, Sage. Okay. All right. Another type is an open access mega journal. So open access mega journals, they are considered as prestigious lah. They are multidisciplinary journals. For example, scientific reports and also PLOS One. Okay, they are considered as open access mega journals. And now IEEE access. Okay, open access mega journals. Okay, so this is also a good journal that you can consider. All right, if you are publishing multidisciplinary research. Okay, another one is green open access. You go for journals that allow you to archive your work or deposit your preprints, okay, in repository by your institution, or also in other digital repositories pertaining to your research areas. All right, so I would advise you to choose open access journals. Yeah. All right. So why open access? To me, why do you bother to publish your work if your findings are not going to reach out to people around the globe, or maybe people in your country or people in the region? All right, so that's why I advocate that you should go for open access. Okay, so open access means visibility not only of your research but also of yourself and also your institution and also the discipline in the discipline in the context of your country. All right. Okay, so people will know not only about your research, about you, about your institution, but also about the research, the discipline in your particular country. All right. So the chances of being cited is increased. Okay, if you go for open access, and of course, quality is not shortchanged. We don't just simply go for any open access. We go for a peer-reviewed open access journal. Right, but of course, you need to check on the indexation status. Some open access journals, they are potential, probable, or possible predatory journals. But this somehow, if you learn, okay, or if you initiate, okay, in understanding what predatory journals are, and you can identify their characteristics, so I would say that it should not be a problem. Yeah, you should not be a problem to identify whether an open access journal is a potential predatory or not. All right. Okay. Okay. So for those of you who have also participated in Prof. Ng's talk on predatory journals, you might know about this. Okay, you might you have learned, all right, the characteristic of predatory journals. Okay, so you should be very careful. All right, journals in general, okay. Scholarly journals, prestigious scholarly journals in general, they do not invite you. They do not call for papers, all right? They do not invite you to write in their journals unless that journal is very, very new, okay? For example, now we have these new journals by Springer, all right? It is a new open access mega journals by Springer, all right? So you might get invitation, okay, to submit the articles, all right? But in general, prestigious journals, they do not release call for participations. Okay, so predatory journals, yes, they will spam your email with call for participations and saying that and boast that their article acceptance rate is very high, and then the publication is very, very fast. Okay, and they claim to be indexed by prestigious indexing agencies. Some of them, they are very bold enough to claim that they are indexed by the Web of Science. Yeah. Okay. All right. Oops, sorry. Okay. So how do you actually select for reliable journals? Right? I have mentioned just now. Okay, you go for this journal, you go for open access. Yeah. You go for index journals. All right. Okay. So it depends on you whether you want to depend on journal whitelist or blacklist. Yeah. Okay, so a whitelist, a journal whitelist promotes publication quality and ethics. All right, a journal whitelist excludes deceptive publishers. So we can consider that the journals that are indexed in the Science Citation Index, Social Science Citation Index, Art Humanities Citation Index, journals that are indexed by the Web of Science, they are considered as a journal whitelist. Okay, journals that are indexed by Scopus, all right, journals that are considered in a whitelist. Okay, so a blacklist indicates which journals to avoid, not what to publish. Okay, so in a blacklist, okay, it will also include deceptive publishers. Bill's list is an example of a blacklist. Cabell's blacklist. Cabell's also have a whitelist. All right. So if you are if we understand, okay, on how do we go about to choose a journal ethically, we should not be bothered by blacklist. So the University of Malaya should not don't have to tell us, okay, don't publish in a Bill's list, all right, because we are all going for a whitelist. Okay, so a whitelist is more reliable. In fact, a whitelist is reliable because it promotes publication quality and ethics. Okay, so 40 minutes past. All right, let's go to the next section, that is, all right, how do you go about publishing ethically? Just now it was where, yeah, but now it is how. Responsible and reproducible, and how to publish ethically. All right, how do you plan and execute to publish your precious research ethically? Okay, so we have seen all these cartoons, okay, on social media, all right, telling about what I would say, ridiculing the academics and the researchers on publication ethics. All right, okay, in terms of authorship, in terms of finding peer reviewer who are also, your colleagues. Okay, so all right, how to publish your precious research ethically? Of course, you need to follow this guideline lah. This is just a simple guideline advocated by COPE. That is, when you plan and execute your publication, first of all, you need to make sure that you follow the highest standard. Okay, so this one is you can all journals should have this or encourage to have the code of publication ethics. Okay, all right. Okay, the next is you have to ensure the timely reporting and publication of all study, yeah, regardless of the outcome. All right, okay, this is very important, especially in medical and health sciences. Yeah, okay, the reporting should be timely. All right, sometimes in survey also, yeah, the reporting should be timely because that particular findings, okay, will be applicable to a particular period of time. All right. Okay, ensure accuracy, completeness, lack of bias in publications. We are going to handle this after this. All right, detailing the method. Okay, this is what we call as reproducibility. And of course, strictly avoid any publication misconduct. Yeah, okay, all right. Okay, so most of us, all right, we are quite kind of familiar lah when we submit to a journal. We know that we have to, especially for journals, okay, that are published by commercial publishers, right? There are phases that you have to go through. For example, you have to declare, okay, the authorship statement. You have to declare and sign, okay, the authorship statement. You must declare that there is no conflict of interest. In fact, some journals, they do have this in the article, okay, conflict of interest, for example, contribution of authors, for example, in the article itself. Okay, and also you have to declare that the article has not been submitted. Right, so you have to you need to declare the funding body, okay, and some journals also you require you to declare the role of the author. All right, who conceptualized the paper, who collect the data, who wrote the findings, so on and so forth. All right, so these are actually being incorporated in the journal submission process. Yeah. article submission process. All right. So, this is very important because we do not want any publication violations that happen to the paper. All right, which can actually hurt your standing, or your collaborators, or your co-authors standing in the scientific community. All right, so very often these are the publication violations. All right, authorship dispute. It is becoming more and more rampant nowadays. All right, which relates to an article being retracted. Okay. Another publication violation is conflict of interest, compromise peer review. Some journals, they do invite you to suggest a reviewer. Yeah, all right. And some journals also have been reported conducting fake peer review. Yeah, okay. Plagiarism or self-plagiarism, submission of one article, simultaneous submission of an article, okay, at one particular time you submit to a few journals. Okay, research fraud, all right, for example, there's no data collection, but you fake it, all right, authors fake it. Okay, and also salami publishing. Yes, salami publishing, meaning that you publish 2 or more articles from a particular derived from the same study. But this is a bit controversial and can be further discussed later on. Salami publication. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Determining authorship is very important, and we must practice ethical authorship. All right. So these are the 4 criteria where authorship is being based on. First of all, okay, all authors must contribute substantially to the work. Yeah. Okay. All right. Number 2, all authors should participate in drafting the work or revising the work, all right, for its intellectual content. Okay. The next is all authors must approve the final version to be published, meaning that before the final review, or the author proof copy. I mean, all authors should approve the author proof copy. Yeah, this is very important. All right. Okay. All authors, okay, should agree to be accountable for all aspects of the work if anything happened to the particular paper later on. Okay. So these are the criteria for authorship. Okay. So what you need to know is that if your name is included as an author and you feel that you do not meet all the 4 criteria, please refuse. All right. So if people invite you to be an author, but you do not exercise all the 4 criteria, meaning that if anybody, okay, invite you to be an author, you must contribute substantially to the intellectual content. You must see the final version that is going to be published. Okay, all right. You must agree to be accountable for the various aspects of the paper. So to be listed as an author, a researcher must meet all these 4 criteria, and if you meet the 4 criteria, you must be listed as an author. There have been cases where, okay, a researcher meets this criteria and finally the name has been left out in the final publication. Okay, so that is unethical. All right. So there is no order, author order list. Yeah, there is no uniform rule. Basically, you need to discuss, okay, with your collaborators if you have a multiple co-authorship. All right. The most popular authorship order is based on relative contribution, meaning that if you contribute the most, then you should be the first author. Okay, right? There is another way through alphabetical list. Basically, this is for consortium paper lah, okay, with mega authorship. So the authorship is based on alphabetical order. And there have been cases where some journals, they do agree to having multiple first author. Yeah. Okay. But this is included in a scope note. All right. And also multiple last author. In some disciplines, the last author is considered as the principal author, one of the principal author. So basically, in authorship, the principal authors are identified through the first author, the reprint author or the corresponding author, and in some disciplines, okay, the last author. All right. So in this case, most journals that practice this, okay, will have an author contribution at the end of the article before the references. Yeah. Okay. All right. So all authors will need to agree on the author list before submission. Yeah. And there have been cases where the authorship is being negotiated. So you can, if you are not satisfied about the authorship order, perhaps because you are junior, okay, you are considered junior, right? You do not want to highlight things that you feel that you deserve to be identified as the principal author, but somehow you are not. You can negotiate. Yeah. Please negotiate, all right, and be very, very frank, okay, with the principal author or the principal investigator in that particular research group, especially for research coming from research groups. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we have heard this publish or perish long time ago, but in the context of a scholarly combination in the open scholarship. You need to, if you publish sometimes, okay, you will perish. Publish and perish. Publish and perish if you break the ethical rules. All right? Okay? So there is only a single ethical standard for science in terms of publishing. All right? So adhere to COPE. Yeah? So ethical issues with scientific articles are on the rise globally, and I will share with you some of these issues that is happening in our country. All right? Okay, so these are the unethical behavior that have been identified by a journal editor, and these particular deadly sins, okay, have been is quite rampant nowadays. Okay, and to the extent that, all right, it relates to the impact of the author. All right, having excessive self-citation. You do citation gaming to boost the impact factor of journals, for example, and then having fake peer review. Okay, so there are a few more that I will identify later on. Yeah. All right. So what will happen? Okay, if publication violation exists, okay, in relation to a particular paper. Okay, first article will be withdrawn. All right. So articles that are withdrawn are only used for articles that are available online. Okay. Nowadays, okay, when you publish a paper, your paper might not might not be published in a volume or in an issue automatically. Yeah. Yeah. So the article will be available online first, or we call it article in press. So if there is an issue with the article, all right, the article will be withdrawn. Okay, so if the article is infringing others' legal rights, all right, the article will be removed. These are the terms used, okay, in the scholarly communication practice. Okay, if, all right, the author might has some, the author has identified some issues with the paper. Okay, the paper can be replaced with a correct version. We call it an article replacement. But the thing that we do not want is retraction, article retraction. Article retraction clearly, okay, reflect a publication violations, all right? And it will infringe professional ethics and integrity of the particular authors. Okay, this is one example. Yeah, you can see this, okay, on the web, on journal, scholarly journal platform. In fact, you can also see this in Scopus. I'm not sure web website, but in Scopus it links you to, if an article is being retracted, it will link you to the retraction. All right. Okay, so if an article is being retracted, remember, retracted is the article is removed totally, okay, from the literature, all right, and it infringe professional ethics and integrity. Okay, so the article will have this watermark, retracted, all right. It is not that watermark, it is just a stamp there saying that your article is retracted. And if the article is retracted, all right, okay, there is a possible chance that future manuscript will also be rejected upfront, all right. Copyright infringement, mistrust among your colleagues, especially among your co-authors. Okay, I'm not sure about notification of employer. Okay, publication ban, perhaps, some journals, they do identify an article is being retracted and then a publication ban for that particular author for 5 years, for example. And also reputation is affected because this will be discussed in various social media platforms. Especially now when journals, some open journals, they have an open peer review features where the public can discuss, okay, your journals, okay, on that platform, your articles on that platform, sorry. All right, so what is retraction? Removal from the literature of a paper, okay, that is identified to be false, okay, fraudulent, mistake, or not reproducible. Not reproducible, meaning that, okay, if another researcher try out, okay, the experiment or conduct the research again, it will not give the same results, okay, as in the prior paper. So that is not reproducible. All right. Okay. So retraction indicates that the original article should not have been published. Yeah, it should not have been published earlier. All right. It is just false. Okay. The findings are false. All right. There are mistakes in the paper. Yeah. All right. The findings and conclusions should not be used, okay, for other research. Yeah, for future research, should not be used in literature review, for example. All right. So that is what retraction is. Yeah. Okay. So why is retraction done? All right. Of course, the scholarly community wants to make sure that the literature is corrected. Okay. The integrity is being protected. All right. To also alert readers when a published study is no longer scientifically valid or trustworthy. Okay. So that's the reason why retraction happened. All right. So if a paper is being retracted, if your paper is being retracted, it says that, okay, your study is no longer scientifically valid or cannot be trusted. Yeah? Okay. Who called for retraction? This is an issue, okay, and I have also seen some of this issue being highlighted in Facebook, in group, the doctoral support group, for example. A young researcher, a PhD student, complaining or saying that her article is being plagiarized and he doesn't know what to do. Okay, yeah. So, all right, a retraction can be initiated by these four people. These four parties. Okay, first the publishers, journal editors, author of the paper, but this rarely happens, and also institutions of whom the authors are affiliated to. For example, the university. So publisher can retract, journal editor can retract. As an author of the paper, you can also retract your paper if you find something is wrong, and also the institution or the university. All right. Okay, but the retraction can be initiated by these parties only when report has been lodged. Okay, they cannot initiate on their own. They need to, except for authors of the paper, because you understand that there is something wrong with your paper, you can initiate that. For publishers, journal editors, and institutions, when they initiate the retraction, they need to depend on a particular report. Okay, and reports can be submitted, or complaints can be submitted by readers. Okay, by the readers who might by the consumer of that article, by anybody who feel that article has a problem. Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So information received from reviewers or other editors. One example. All right. Reviewers. Okay, review of an article. Okay, when you carefully review the article, you feel that there is something wrong with this paper, and then you can say that to the editor. All right, suspected of plagiarism, for example. Okay, and literature search or related papers by the author. Okay. All right, by the author, and also by reader, any vested people with vested interest in your paper. Right, reader normally they are not actually the public, but the reader are actually consumer of the paper who are also researchers in your particular research area. Yeah. Okay. All right. But how is retraction communicated? When your paper has been retracted, of course, when our paper has been retracted, of course, we will know it from the publisher or from the editorial or from the editor. But all right, it is communicated to the public to warn the public, to tell the public that the research or the paper, okay, the literature is no longer valid, is no longer scientifically valid. And how do the public know about this? Yeah, how do we know about this? All right, of course, it is through the publisher website. Okay, there is a retraction note. And in citation databases, okay, but this a bit slower because citation database needs time to index, okay, to index the retraction. All right, and now there is a retraction database, okay, available free. All right, you can Google this retraction database, and also through social media. All right, this is a scholarly social media that track retraction. All right. Retraction Watch. Okay, so you might want to get familiar to this retraction database and Retraction Watch. And so I give you one example. All right, this is a retraction coming from an article, and this is being communicated through a citation database. Yeah, so in the citation database, you can see. Yeah, I'm very sure we are familiar with the citation database. That is the Web of Science. All right, you can see here. You can see, okay, the retracted article and also the retraction. I give you one example. Yeah, this is the title of the article. All right, the article has been indexed, okay, as a published article, but when it was retracted, it will be described as retracted article, and this article was retracted in 2018. Yeah, so this article, the retraction was done in a particular article as well in the journal. You see, so another one is retraction of the article. So from here you can see that the article was actually published in 2017. Yeah, and then it was retracted in 2018. So the publication information about the article in 2017 is no longer in the citation database. So if an article is being retracted, it will appear 2 times in a citation database. It will appear 2 times in a citation database, yeah, as a retracted article and also as a retraction. All right, but of course, because this is a scientific misconduct, authors or researchers, they do not display this in their CV. Yeah, okay, all right, but people among conferences, scholarly communication conferences always highlight this. Why you do not put your retracted article, the description of your retracted article in your CV? All right. They feel that it is, as somebody who has actually committed scientific misconduct, they feel that it is ethical for you to declare that your papers have been retracted, okay, in your CV. I'm not sure. Perhaps this is open to discussion later on. Yeah. Okay. So, all right. Okay. So I'm sharing you a small study that I did. Okay, you might want to read this, but before that, I have actually emailed these slides, okay, to EDAC, and it can be shared later on. All right, the reasons for retraction of Malaysian papers. Okay, so this was a small study, all right, and of which the author wanted to identify what are the reasons for Malaysian papers retraction. So the databases used were Web of Science and Scopus, and we found out that for the past, since the first article was actually published, okay, and indexed by either Web of Science and Scopus, there have been 125 papers, okay, retracted, all right, which is considered as small, all right, but deserve high attention, okay. Surprisingly, okay, for these 125 papers, a high majority, okay, of the high number of papers, I would say high number of papers have a Malaysian-based researcher as the corresponding author. All right, yeah. So we can actually see that Malaysian-based authors, they are responsible for Malaysian papers being retracted. All right. Okay. So let me share some findings in relation to this. Okay. So who retracted? All right. High majority publishers retracted. Okay, so you can see here that authors very often are reluctant to voluntarily withdraw their papers. They do not want to withdraw. Okay, so in the end, the publisher will withdraw. All right. Of course, publisher will communicate with the author. Okay, requesting or suggesting, advising authors to retract. Right, but in these cases of these Malaysian papers, in the end, publisher retracted the paper. Initiated in the retraction. All right. Okay. So, if you read the paper, okay, I do not want to highlight so much about the paper, but if you read the paper, okay, you can notice that for Malaysian papers that have problems, okay, it is actually due to misconduct, yeah, not because of mistake. All right. Not because of scientific mistake, for example, error in reporting. No, it is because of misconduct that I have highlighted just now. For example, duplication of submissions, plagiarism, self-plagiarism, and it clearly shows that that there is a need for us to be more aware, yeah, okay, of publishing ethics and integrity in publishing. All right. Okay. So another thing that I would like to share is about the retractions among Malaysian Research Institute. Yeah, because awareness is very important. All right, things happen, and we need to know. Okay, what is actually the issues in relation to publication ethics? Is it because people do not know, people are not aware, or is it just because people are ignorant? All right, or is it because there is no particular penalty or no particular body that tackle research misconduct in Malaysia? All right, so perhaps this needs to be investigated. So what I would like to share, okay, the information that from Retraction Watch database. This is available online, freely, open. All right. As of May 2020, there are about 378 retracted papers found in Malaysia and due to various allegations. Right. And the highest allegations is plagiarism. Yeah. Okay, you can see the various retractions from universities and others represent other universities and also research institutes. Okay. All right. So one aspect to reach the highest standard in publication ethics that have been promoted of late for the past, I would say, 5 years, okay, that is reproducibility in data analysis. All right, I have mentioned just now what is reproducible research, and journal publishers, they are going out for reproducibility in research, in data analysis, meaning that, okay, they would like to see, okay, a paper that is reproducible, a study that is reproducible, and a study is reproducible, okay, if aspect of that particular study is being shared, okay, with the community. For example, the data, the survey instrument, the codes, okay, how you do the coding, meaning that the research method, part of the paper need to be very detailed to enhance replication and reproduction of the research. Okay, so that is the highest standard in publication ethics nowadays. All right. Okay, so in terms of, you see, I just share a figure here that if, okay, only publication is being published, all right, it is not reproducible. It can be replicated. The study can be replicated if the research design is very, very detailed, is detailed enough. So journal editors are looking at research design nowadays. Journal reviewers, okay, and the editors, especially reviewers lah. They have been advised, okay, by editors to tackle, okay, to to ensure that the research design is detailed enough to allow for replication of the study. All right. So this has been exercised nowadays in the open scholarship, open science, to encourage researchers also to submit any supplementary materials with their publication, okay, for review. All right. Journal publishers might not actually exercised this in full force, but it should be, I would say it should be the responsibility of the author, okay, not only to submit your publication, but also you need to be very transparent, all right, when submitting it, by having other supplementary materials such as the research instrument, the data itself, okay, coding, okay, coding practices, all right, and if you do not have the data, you do not want to submit the data, you might want to put the data elsewhere and link the data to the publication or to the submission. All right. So that is the gold standard that it is hoped to achieve, okay, for reproducibility of research. All right. Because the scholarly community wants this to happen. Wants this to happen in this open scholarship era. Yeah. Okay. So all right. Okay. So we are going to finish this webinar. All right. But I'm just putting forward a moral compass advocated by Elsevier. Okay. To make your research count, you have to be published. You have to publish ethically. You see. Publishers have advocated this, all right, and it is good for your reputation, yeah, all right. And if people find that your research is good, yeah, it opens the door to various opportunities for further collaboration, for example, all right, in future. Invited you to be reviewers, invited you to be in the editorial board, okay, it can actually open various opportunities. All right, this is my publishing advice, okay, as what I said just now. There are, identify the right journal, submit to the right journal, submit to one journal only, one at a time. You see, journal editors sometimes, they do confer with one another, yeah, especially journals in a particular discipline. All right, I have experienced this, yeah, when I am the reviewer of a particular journal, and the journal, the editor wrote an email to us, okay, requesting us to choose an article to be reviewed. We choose first, given an abstract. So when I look at the abstract, I noticed that, okay, the article was actually submitted, okay, to another journal, was actually submitted and published online to another journal. All right, you see? Okay, so that is one issue where outright, okay, the article will be rejected, okay, without review because it has been published elsewhere, and also most probably, okay, the writer, all right, would be under scrutiny by the editor. Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, for early career researchers, just my advice, if you are in a university environment, not publishing is not normal, okay? So you need to publish ethically, not only publish, okay, but publish ethically. Refer to journals in your own field, choose the right journal. So no fast food in article publishing, all right. You need to exercise this careful ethical procedures, okay, to ensure that you follow, okay, the various stages in executing your and submitting your paper. So be careful of predatory, and also you need to consider whether you are actually doing research or you have opportunity to do research, because these two, doing research, doing your own research, and sorry, this is publications, doing your own research and publishing, or having the opportunity to publish, all right, will not give you the similar experience. Yeah, sometimes when you are given the opportunity to publish, you need to follow, or you need to follow the whatever, okay, the group that give you that opportunity to publish say, okay. So in many cases you might not be able to be very transparent or to exercise whatever you believe in, okay, in the aspect of ethics in scholarly publication. So yeah, you might want to think again, okay, in doing your own research publications, or in having the opportunity to publish with another group, or another in a group, or maybe another author, yeah, the same procedures, okay, of applying ethics and integrity in publication holds. All right. Okay. So that's about it. I would like to thank you for your attention. 1 hour and 15 minutes. I thought it would be over in about 1 hour. So I pass this over to ADAC. If there is any questions that you might want to pose. Thank you very much.
If anyone have any question, you can just unmute your mic and talk directly to Hafizah while she's still here. No one? Alright, so Prof, is there any last word or something before we end the session?
Yes, say that again.
Is there anything you want to say to wrap up before we end the session?
Oh, okay. I believe I have said, I have communicated, and I would just like to emphasize that, okay, some of the things that I said are ideals, all right, but some of the recommendations and advice, okay, I get it from my experience, and it might not be true for other people. Yeah, for example, about Salami publishing, because I expect that you might want to ask about Salami. In some research areas, Salami publishing is okay. Yeah, in some research areas, Salami publishing is not good. So that is why you need to, when you decide, okay, to submit your paper, all right, for review, you might want to consider the various aspects of publication ethics and integrity. For example, in terms of Salami publishing, if you feel that you are not slicing the paper in short papers, and if you feel that it deserves, for example, okay, you have published this paper before, all right, in a journal, but that journal is specifically to a research in your own discipline, but you tweak the paper so that it is applicable to another setting, to another research audience, so another audience, or the readers. So you might want to publish that paper again, you see, but people might consider that you are doing Salami publishing, you see. So whatever it is, okay, if you are not sure and you feel that you are doing right, you need to get back to the editor. Yeah, get back to the editor, and tell the editor that, okay, I have published this paper in this particular journal, or I have published this paper in a conference, all right, but I would like to publish this in your journal because your journal serves to another research, group of research, another group of research community. So you want your article to disseminate your article and increase, okay, the community of that paper, the reader of that paper. So it should be okay. It should not be considered as a salami publishing, you see. So whatever it is that you want to exercise, all right, in relation to publishing ethics and integrity, if you are not sure, you need to confer to somebody who knows, okay, and also just go straight to the journal editor. All right. Okay. So yes, that's about it. Yes, if you have any if you have any questions, you can contact me. You can email me personally. Yeah.
Prof, there's actually a question here. Maybe you can answer. Can you share information regarding authorship dispute?
Okay. All right. Yes, about authorship dispute. What kind of information that Dr. Chi Chin Fei wanted to know? But anyhow, Rosaida pointed this out. Yes, a gray area in terms of what is considered salami. Yes, it's a gray area, but the definition is that you are publishing more than 2 papers with regards to a particular from a same study. Yeah. All right, that is the definition. But you see, you have reasons. Definitely, you have reasons why you want to publish your paper, right? Okay, because you want to disseminate it to a particular research community. Sometimes especially when it comes to conference paper, some researchers, they have doubts about whether to publish the conference paper again or not. All right, you can. Of course you can, but you need to get back to the editor saying that, okay, you're going to change a little bit. You're going to change the title. You're going to stick to the same methodology. You're slightly change the literature review. So it is quite a gray area, but like what I said just now, just connect to the editor. Yeah? Okay. So authorship dispute. What do you want to know about authorship dispute? Okay, authorship dispute. Dispute is an argument, you know. Dispute, meaning that authors, they have argument about authorship of the paper. This is what is meant by authorship dispute. Okay, so authorship dispute can also is considered as one publication violation, because there are issues when a particular paper is being published and a particular author claimed to be part of the authorship name has been actually missed out. So that is one example of authorship dispute. Yeah. For example, we have cases at the University of Malaya when an author is being dropped as the corresponding author. 2 names for corresponding author. It was agreed earlier before the paper was submitted. All right, but after publication, okay, only 1 name appeared as the corresponding author. This is an example of an authorship dispute. So authorship dispute can be resolved very much earlier, okay, when it is actually discussed before the submission of the paper. In fact, it can be tackled, authorship dispute can be tackled when the author proofread copy is being read by everybody, okay, that has contributed to the paper. All right. Okay, another one is false authorship. Ghost authorships and all that. Yeah. So people who are in the authorship line should be the authors. People should not be on the authorship line, should not be authors. So there have been instances where people who are should not or do not fit the criteria of authorship have been identified as authors. Yeah. And that authorship dispute will happen later on, you see, especially now, okay, in the context of claiming the paper for promotion, right? Yeah, so that's why authorship must be resolved, especially when it comes to the order of authorship. Let me give you one example. This is a real experience that I face, okay? I'm doing a collaborative work, all right, from people from 7 countries, all right. So some of us, okay, in the as authors, we have some of us we are juniors, okay, and we are juniors, and of course, our concern for authorship is basically adhering to the authorship criteria. So the person who initiated the draft of the thesis, sorry, not the thesis, the paper will always be the first author. Okay, and the other 7 or 6 authors will appear the order will appear in terms of their contribution. So there was one time when our paper was accepted in a Q1 journal. Yeah, in a Q1 journal. All right, and there is this policy by the one of the writers university, saying that giving an incentive for publishing in Q1 journal if you are the corresponding author. So the person is not a corresponding author, but that particular person wants to claim that incentive from the university. Okay, so she told us that please give me, the role as the corresponding author. If not corresponding author, the first author, because if this is the case, I will get some incentive, some money from my university. Okay, so what the decision has to be made. You need to discuss this. It's a negotiated decision. So this is when it was negotiated. So since the rest of us has no vested interest in the authorship line, all right, so we agree that our collaborator from China be the corresponding author because she can claim some money from the university. Okay, so that is an example of a negotiated authorship. All right. Okay, so that's another question. So I'll just take one more question here from Zida. What is your opinion about the PhD supervisor, lead author, even though the PhD student is the one doing most of the work? All right. You see, publication and research is different. Yeah. Research, okay, student do the research, but we have this publication requirement for student to graduate. And our publication requirement is that the supervisor is the corresponding author, right? It's not the lead author, it's the corresponding author. You see, lead author or the principal author, we don't talk about lead author lah. In papers, we talk about principal author. Yeah, principal author. The ideal way of identifying the principal author is the first author is the principal author. The corresponding author is the principal author as well. And also in some disciplines, okay, the last author is also the principal author. Yeah, so that is why in PhD publication, yeah, all right, where the work is done most by the PhD student, okay, you give the credit to the PhD student to be the first author. All right, because as the first author, he or she is the principal author. Because our requirement saying that, okay, the supervisor is the corresponding author, so the corresponding author is the supervisor. But the corresponding author can be the second person, the third person, the fourth person, the fifth person. Okay, but the supervisor is the corresponding author. But ideally, if you are the supervisor, you should be the second. You should be after the student. If you are the student, you are the supervisor, you should be after the student. Because the publication is done, okay, based on the student's work. Students did the work. All right. So if you ask me, that is my answer. Yeah. So that is my opinion. All right. So about requiring to be the lead author, that is the university requirement. And university our university and most universities, we have reasons for putting the supervisor as the corresponding author, right? Because the corresponding author will take care of the publication process later on, not just being the corresponding author, but also the person who will be the editor or who other researchers wants to know about the research will contact. So the corresponding author will have that responsibility to answer about the paper, okay, after publication. All right, if the paper is being discussed in social media, for example, the corresponding author should be responsible, should be able to to address that. Okay. All right, and of course there is a MIRA requirement, but that's another issue lah. All right. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. So I wish you all the best. Yeah, and remember, not publishing is not normal. Okay, thank you, ADAC.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof.
Buddy.